Hey guys, and welcome to the pilot episode of Game Guide TV. Today we'll be reviewing Saints Row 3, the latest in a strong lineup of sandbox games for the PC, PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. For those who don't know, a sandbox game is where you get dumped into a setting, in this case the city of Steelport, and there's maybe some sort of storyline to act as a progression mechanic, but generally you're left to your own devices. Unlike in the previous title, the Saints are already well-known celebrities, having taken over another city called Stillwater at the end of Saints Row 2. Just like in the last game, Saints Row 3 revolves around you, the leader of the Saints, trying to overtake another city from a rival gang known as the Syndicate. You do this by completing storyline missions, taking part in various activities, and by buying property throughout the city. Everything you do earns money and respect. Respect levels your character up, unlocking new abilities and upgrades, and money is used for buying upgrades, weapons, or property. It's a good system that lets you do whatever you like while never detracting from the main goal of taking over the city. The interface for the game is your mobile phone, where you can view the city map, purchase upgrades, or call in help from your gang. This works both when roaming freely around the city and during some of the missions. This also includes the main characters, such as Shaundi or Pierce, which is a nice touch. It's a very clean and efficient system that works well in the game setting, being accessible at any point. Driving is also a huge part of the game, and with the entire city to explore, it's definitely needed. This aspect is done especially well, with controls being tight and easy to get a hang of, so even someone as bad as me can get around without feeling frustrated. Like everything else in the game, you can also upgrade your cars to be faster, tougher, or to include some fun additions like nitro boosts and wheel spikes. The various radio stations and associated humour also makes a return from Saints Row 2, with the news reports highlighting your successes from the previous missions. The main storyline is, like the rest of the game, a bit wacky, but helps ease you into the different aspects and doesn't restrict you too much. The whole of Steelport is accessible from the beginning, and the plotline missions act as hand-holding quests into the various activities. But if you want, you can start those activities earlier, triggering the same missions without losing any of the plotline. The storyline also has some surprising twists, which helps keep it fresh.
A fucking tiger?
If you're fighting the luchadors, you need to be ready for anything.
A fucking tiger?
As seems to be the growing trend with games, supplementing the campaign mode is an optional horde mode, where you fight off wave after wave of increasingly difficult and sometimes a bit disturbing enemies. Both horde mode and the normal campaign mode also support multiplayer, meaning that friends can join in on the fun as well. This is a game that was made with a lot of love and care from the developers, and it shines through while playing. If you want to drive through the streets in a tank blowing things up, you can do it. If you want to parachute off the top of a skyscraper and attack someone with a giant purple dildo, you can do it. You can even fight off waves of zombie hordes in a teddy bear suit if you're into that sort of thing. This is a game about doing all sorts of wacky things in fun and enjoyable ways, but somehow never becomes so wacky that it doesn't seem out of place and grounded in its surroundings. Now, a lot of people like to refer to Saints Row games as Grand Theft Auto clones, which in a lot of ways helped pioneer this sort of game, but I don't think that's very fair to say anymore. The Saints Row series has been growing and evolving into a game of its own right for quite some time now, choosing to focus on the funner aspects of a sandbox game and disregarding whether or not it seems realistic. On the other hand, Grand Theft Auto games have been aiming more towards the realism angle, which in my opinion is a mistake. Sandbox games are not simulators. They're games where people can go in, mess around for hours on end without ever having to touch a storyline. You just know that when someone on the development team spends hours creating a car in the game, they're not thinking about how realistic the paintwork is, but how awesome it is when it explodes because the player drove it off a skyscraper onto 20 policemen. It's the freedom to mess around that makes games like Saints Row and Grand Theft Auto fun, not the realism of roaming around an entire city. The city's just the setting, the sandbox. What matters most is not the box, it's the sand. The fun you have when playing the game, and that shouldn't come as a surprise for a video game. In fairness though, and I'm going on a slight rant here, I don't know what I would do if I was a developer for the Grand Theft Auto series. Sandbox games are about free roaming, with all the other content only being there to give you more structured activities to sink your teeth into. The developers of Saints Row understood that wacky fun is above all else the most valuable structured content to add, and have run with it completely, cornering the market. That leaves Grand Theft Auto developers to either try and follow in the footsteps of a game their series helped inspire, or they can try and be innovative in other areas, and it seems the area they've chosen is realism. That's a problem. Realism has been a growing trend in the games industry, and what people are starting to figure out is that realism is only a way of boosting the content that is already there. A lot of smaller indie developers follow the rule that if your game isn't fun to play, when you're looking at basic blocky graphics or following a bare-bones storyline with only the main plot points, no amount of sugarcoating will make the game enjoyable. What matters most is the fundamentals, the core gameplay, and unless your game is a simulator, realism is not a fundamental aspect of a game. It's a way of enhancing what is already there. Having a sandbox game such as Grand Theft Auto and selling it on the realism simply doesn't work. With Saints Row 3, every part of it has an aura which screams wacky fun. Sure, there are aspects of realism in it, such as the setting, the cars, some of the weapons, but the developers understood that those aspects of realism are only there to enhance the gameplay experience, and the gameplay in this game is absolutely superb. It strips out the boring aspects of the genre while pushing and developing the greatest, and it does it well. If you have any sort of interest in sandbox games, or even gaming in general, you should try Saints Row the Third, and I guarantee you won't be disappointed.